Carey third there. We're talking about A minor today, of course. And A minor is going to start for us in the open position. Okay, and then we have our old friend, the metronome, has joined us today at 60 beats per minute. So welcome, Mr. Metronome, and thank you for keeping time for us. I hope you're tuned up, and I hope you're ready to play some guitar today. We're tuned to concert pitch standard tuning, and then we're just kind of, here's the string set, and you can get tuned up to that. And if you haven't tuned, if you'd like to get better and more proficient and feeling great about tuning, you can check out our tuning video if you like. But you can hear A minor has got a really specific sound. It's got a really American sound. It's got a really, we'll explore rock. We'll explore how the A minor chord relates to A in rock chord progressions, it being the sort of like natural minor of C, or relative minor or Aeolian mode of C. It's all the same thing, 3 different names for the same thing. Well, pretty close to the same notes, same grouping of tones. What that means is we're starting with an A chord, very simply, starting with an open A, and we're using all 6 strings with an A note in the bass. Fret 2 on the D, fret 2 on the G, fret 1 on the B, and fret 0 on the high E string. And then we can also use that 0 on the low E string. Why? Because, well, we don't need it, but we can change the bass note. If you've followed us down the other chord rabbit holes, you'll know that we don't need to play the root note in the bass, right? We can alternate the bass note. Okay, and this is also something that we can talk about American folk music. We can talk about the way strum patterns have emerged and developed around A minor. Finger picking patterns. We can also talk about solo guitar techniques. I think we'll probably also hit on A minor arpeggios, like triadic arpeggios that, kind of hang out in one position or traverse the entire guitar neck. So if we wanted to get more familiar with how to take this sound that some of us as guitar players, sometimes what happens is we start to feel, well, first of all, I feel kind of like I'm in a little bit of a rush. I'm just getting back from Boston, from a week in Boston, and I haven't warmed up yet to the studio, but we're going to do that a little bit along the way too, and I'll show you how we can use warm-up to benefit our practice routine. But we're starting basically with A minor, and we should start by immediately talking about I'm assuming you're all tuned up and you're playing along. We should start by playing the chord, right? Which is what we've been doing all along. So A minor, we strum the chord, and then we arpeggiate the chord. There are a lot of tunes. There's one tune in particular that a lot of us start with A minor. It's A minor, C, and then E major. C, and then D major, and then F major, A minor, and then C, and then E major. And these are all parts of our chord rabbit hole. So we've gone in depth on all of these chords that we're experiencing here at the moment. And you can find those chord rabbit holes on our channel if you like to dig a little deeper. They're there for you. And it's if you find like, you know, I'm questioning what is a chord? Why am I playing chords versus, you know, scales? I want to just tear down some scales. Well, rhythm guitar is as important, or if not more important, than lead guitar. A good rhythm guitar player, I know I might take some heat in the comments here, but I'm willing to play along. You know, what do you think about that? But I think it's a good idea to have a really well-developed rhythmic pattern or rhythmic program, multiple rhythmic programs for our approach to the guitar. So the guitar is just basically like House of Rising Sun was just a forward roll into a reverse roll over the span of A minor chord and then C, and then E major. And sometimes it's really good it's really fun or good, and it feels good to certainly to be able to bridge the gap between harmonic playing or chordal playing, which is what we were talking about a minute ago, into, you know, sort of chordal or, you know, thirds or double stops, and then into single note solo lines. That's where the rubber meets the road, when we can start to expand on all of, you know, moving from a chord study. You know, what we would do is typically while we're learning the A minor chord, before we even start with any of that other stuff, I sort of assumed here that you may be aware of other chords. But what I just played with A minor with House of Rising Sun represents a lot of time that I've actually spent. Many guitar players we might make it look easy or appear easy, but you and I both know that there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes of, you know, something that looks good, you know. And if it looks good, it is good, right? Pretty simple. So we want to start, before we start moving on to other chords, we want to begin with the A minor chord shape, break it apart, and then let's get every finger arriving at its destination at the same time. That way, it's not like one finger and then, you know, the next and the next. It's a unit. You know, we're plugging in a full sort of like one, we're ripping one chord here instead of, you know, multiple notes at you know, one after the next. These are all happening exactly at the same time. And so A minor moves around the guitar neck. Another really cool A minor that we find is, you know, just the top three strings. Right, we have, of course, the three notes that make up a chord, the A minor chord, are A, C, and E. So we have A, C, and E. And then we have C, E, and A, which we can reconfigure on the same three strings, E, A, and C. And then we can go back to the place from whence we came with A, C, and E, but an octave higher, right? So there's that beautiful diagonal pattern here. And I know when we start moving across the guitar neck, I start to get, you know, I feel like whoa, the branches are starting to sort of break out from underneath my feet. I'm coming away from the trunk of the tree. Maybe you had a pretty cool childhood and you were able to climb a tree, maybe. It's a little risky, and so the further we go away from the tree trunk, the stable area, some trees that are not, you get a little too high and they're not that stable. See Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And, the further out we get, the more risk we take of things falling apart, sort of. So this is really where the rubber meets the road. Here, when we start to go from the known, which is A minor in open position, to, A minor in multiple positions across the neck. But this gives us access. So we have an A chord here in 5th position, and again in 8th position, and again in 12th position. We could do the same thing here with E, A, or E, A, and C, and then A, C, and then E, right? And then I'm moving right along, I'm moving quickly, but pause it so you can figure out these fingerings. This is important. Don't miss these, don't skip over these parts. It's so easy in our world to just want to just glance over everything, if you're anything like me, you only want to get what you need when you need it. But don't worry about doing that either. If you miss it, it's great because you'll come back to it, and every time you revisit it, you'll learn a little bit of something new. So don't worry. I'm not going to scare you into watching all of the video. So that's not the point here. But the point is, if you do pause, or you can keep up and get all of these fingerings together, if you're interested, it'll take us on a whole new into new journeys, right? So 2, 2, 1. We have 3. Oh, you may know this one. 3, 1, 1, 1. Right, and that's kind of like pretty famous forward roll. I know it's so overplayed by so many people and so overheard, but it's just such another beautiful guitar piece, a beautiful effort. So that's that A minor there. So through A, C, and E, and then C, E, and A, right? And then back to the place from whence we came on 14, 14, and 13, an octave above where we started. That's what I mean. Excuse me. I've got 3, 2, 2, right, with the third of the bass, the C, E, and A, and then the the E, A, and C, and then the A, C, not C sharp because we're playing minor, right? A, C, and E, and then back to C, E, and A again, an octave above where we started. So we could do the same thing down here, and it's pretty cool. Why not, right? So we've got to get all of this stuff together on the guitar eventually. But we can start by talking about, forward rolls. We talked about applying the chord to the A minor, the A minor chord to a song, which is what we all want to do. We all want to play songs that we know and love, and possibly write new songs, birth new songs that we know, become to know and love. And then one of the things that we do is practice. Well, practice in general. I mean, we can't become guitar players or maintain our guitarisms, our guitar playing, unless we play every day, right? And 5 minutes is great, keep our fingers moving. But if we wanted to really advance stuff, Matteo and some other, and Pascal, so a lot of other guitar players are playing. They're saying they claim that if you don't play at least more than an hour, and you're not really doing anything. And I don't believe that. I believe any time spent with the guitar is good quality time, as long as we're sort of focusing on it. And if we continue to do that over the years, over time, months, weeks to come, you'll notice some benefits and some differences, whether you're playing 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30, or an hour. You'll notice some changes coming up. A forward roll is another Zeppelin sort of tribute here. What is it? Oh, it's sus4. Right, so what we can do is add, don't forget, because we've done this in all of our other chord rabbit holes, is we find these really cool, like, oh, an A minor can easily be an A sus2 by removing the first finger. So, you know, no brainer, free effort. You know, it's you know, I'm going to get some calories back. so I've got finger 4 on fret number 3, performing a suspension here of the 1, 2, flat 3, 4, the sus4. We're suspending the use of the minor third with the sus2, suspending the use of the minor third, making the chord minor, right? The minor third is the equivalent of the musical equivalent of sadness. Another thing to do is place that added 9 on the G string, you know, like Andy Summers would have done or whatever, right? So you could use a really beautiful voicing here. We'll get back to that Led Zeppelin thing in a minute. But we could also, you know, we talked a little bit about adding fingers, subtracting fingers. We could also use that open G string to make an A minor 7 out of this in quick order, right? Short order. So we've got an F, an A chord with a flatted 6, and a flatted 7, a minor. Think, you know, Pink Floyd's The Wall. There's some episodes happening in there, massive passages that are so well recorded and so well conceived for guitar in the overall arrangement of the entire record that it's mind-boggling. So A minor is definitely a great place to know and a great place to be. We can start, before we really start moving on to the next thing, we've got this really beautiful forward roll, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if we wanted to practice this with a quarter note, 60 beats per minute, C with G in the bass, and then we have D7 with, I don't really remember where we are in the song, but we've got D7 with F sharp in the bass, and then F with a thumb in the bass, with F in the bass, and then E minor, or E major there, and then back to. So let's take a look at putting it up to tempo here. 1 and 2 and D and bo and. That's also another really cool sort of flamenco technique. We'll talk about that another time. But let's get back to the pick. So let's say we have a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, or, you know, and even really, you know, we talked about adding a 9 here. We could add a 9 all day long right here in the 5th position. We've got open A, we've got another octave A, which gives us that a little more distance than 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5. We got flat 6, flat 7, 1. We've got an octave between root notes here, or between the root note, the bass note, and the next note in the chord. And then we've got a flat third on top of that, and then an open B, and then an open high E. So we've got this. Just fool around with all of those notes from A minor. Coming right back to this, don't worry about that just for a minute. Just hang out with me for a second. Open A, and then we've got 2 fret 3, 4, 5. Open A, 2, 3, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, A. We start and stop on the root notes, so I wanted to stop here just to get our ears wrapped around that A note and tonicize that A note so that we can have it for later. And then we start there and then continue our ascent, even though we're not going to reach the A unless we slide. We could do that, but we want to stay sort of focused that, hey, we're definitely in open position. We're definitely on fret 1. Let's not forget sort of that for this particular exercise. And then we just descend G, F, E, D, C, B, and then A. And then start there again, G, A, or A, G, G, F, E, D, C, B. Start there, stop there, start again, A, G, F. Grab all of the notes in that open position if you want, because they're there for us, right? And then we can play the chord. Now we have all of those notes. It's basically the C major scale, which we've done in other videos before. You may be able to search the channel and then see if you find a C major scale video on our channel that relates something to this, And then we have that open A, fret 7, fret 5, open B, and open high E. That's called a minor add 9, right? Same thing that we did here, but we're not doubling the 5th, which is a pretty cool sound. Directly along with that A minor chord, we've got that A minor pentatonic scale, which is 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. Sorry, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. Or A, C, D, E, G, A. Stop there, start again. A, continue to ascend. And if you wanted to just sort of, C up there and then back to A, you could approach instead of plucking one string, you could approach that target note with a 2 strings that were choked up to a note that's fretted. We talked about this last night in our 12-bar blues video. Stevie Ray Vaughan, or SRV, was always really great at just sort of doing those reverse rolls or chokes, those triplet figures that were almost so fast they were imperceptibly, A minor. But you knew once he hit that flat 5 and then just started peeling through the rest of that A minor, that's some magic stuff, right? So we have A minor pentatonic that we could also use. Another really handy, totally handy shape that we've got to talk about is A minor pentatonic with starting on 3rd finger with the root note, right? Instead of 1 finger 1, and using that 1st finger, this is very comfortable for most of us because 1st finger is the strong finger, right? So we've got that A chord. I have finger 1 right here, and I can play that all day long, but then I can also control fret 5, and I know that the root notes are pretty much all on fret finger 1. 3rd finger is pretty tough too. So 3rd finger root note here. Let's take a look at this shape real quick because this changes the way we phrase that, minor pentatonic shape a little bit for A minor pentatonic. So we have 1, 3. So let's use. You'll look at finger numbers. I'm going to name the note numbers to start with. A, C, D, E, G, A. And then A, C, D, E, G, A. And then A, C, D, E, G, A, if you wanted to find all of those notes. But we really wanted to get up to here somewhere. Figure out how to, that third finger slides from position, you know, it carries that position from position 3 to position 5. And then the next shape that we use, we would slide with finger 3, but if we slide with finger 2, we set up finger 1 to grab that approach to the A note there. Okay, so that's really cool, right? So we've got that A minor pentatonic stuff happening all over the guitar neck. One other way that we can remember how to, really treat and deal with and repeat A minor across the guitar neck is to use A, C, and E in an octave display, an octave pattern. So we're using 1 flat 3, 1 flat 3, 1 flat 3, and so we start with A, C, and E. And this gets us up an octave up 2 strings, or up 2 frets, up 2 strings is an octave between the E and the D string, right? And then we use the same exact pattern because we're up an octave higher, same stuff, same fingerings. We go up an octave higher. The trick is we can get up there pretty easily because we've got finger 1 on fret 5. Finger 1 on fret 7, and then finger 1 on fret 10. And I know I can watch it because watch it descend because I've got finger 1 on fret 10 again, and I'm going to look at where finger 1 needs to be to set up my first finger for the descending pattern. So it can be really confusing. Oh no, where do I go now? So whoops. Unplug, train wreck, blah, blah, blah. So we want to avoid that question mark showing up in the middle of a line that we're trying to execute. So while we're practicing this very slowly, I'm doing this all very quickly to just kind of fit it in here, but this is all stuff that you can take notes on and then fold this into your own, pancake guitar batter, right? So there's this nice 1 flat 3 4 5, 1 flat 3 5, 1 flat 3 5. And then 5 flat 3 1, 5 flat 3 1, 5 flat 3 1. That's also A minor, or A minor, Stairway to Heaven, A minor, or an inversion of A minor. This one. What else did we say we were going to talk about here? The one thing that really gets us, if we're not going, if we're climbing up the guitar neck, if we have trouble climbing up the guitar neck, one way to really get around that is to know a key, to get to know a key. Landmarks, take a left-hand turn at the old school that used to be there, they tore down, and another 500 yards would be at my house. Unless you know the landmarks, there's no sense in describing landmarks. So I just use 12th fret, I'm using A and 12th fret. I know that A and then open A is A, right? Of course, I know 12th fret is fret 12. I know it's an octave of the open string, and I know all fret 12s are octaves of the open strings. I know fret 5 is a 1, 2, 3, 4 of the open strings. So 1, 2, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And I've had some of my friends talk about this, like, I don't really know how to get across the guitar neck. I don't really feel comfortable when we start climbing the guitar neck. And so knowing the note names is really important. And so we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then A. Right, we have A minor, and then we can descend that pattern too. It's really important to know how to descend a pattern as well, if not better than how we ascend it. So there's that. I know those landmarks. I know that I have another minor pentatonic shape right here with some chromaticism that can really start to sound kind of outlandish, It can really sound pretty cool. Very quickly, we can go right off the deep end, right into that rabbit hole so fast. So we have another thing that we can do. We've got the A minor, right? This is actually an A minor. If you just clamped all fret 5, we've got that A minor 11. You know, we've got a nice added 11 there. We've got a flat 7, a flat 3, a 5, and a 1. Right, so that's cool. That's a great sounding chord. Put the 3 on top of that, again, flat 3. You can put the 11 on top of that, which is doubling that fret 5. You can do all kinds of things, similar to what we just did over here. Cool stuff, isn't it? Yeah, very cool stuff. So I think what we're going to do is just start at A minor here, look at A minor here, look at A minor here, and look at A minor here, A minor 7, right? Just inverting that A minor chord across the D, G, and B strings is sufficient to get us around the guitar note. And then we can start thinking about minor pentatonic. Oh, this is really another cool way to, another great reason why to learn all of those arpeggiated inversions of the chord. Because I know I can play that chord strum here, right? I know I can strum A minor. I know I can strum A minor. I know I can strummity strum all day long. And it's definitely something we want to be aware of, but we could also create other picking or flat picking patterns, right? Down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, or strum, right? And then, or we could use up, down, up, or down, up, down, up, down. We could reverse the pattern, right? Instead of starting on the G string. There's so much going on here. It's just turn the metronome on. Let's go ahead and set it to 60 beats per minute. Practice our breathing. Practice our stretches. We haven't stretched, but you'll see this in other videos we're doing. Just keep us posted how you're doing and what is coming along with your guitar. You know, are you playing along? Are you able to play along? If you're not playing along with these guitar lessons, I'd love to know why in the guitar lesson in the comments below. If you make it this far and you are not playing along with a guitar lesson by now, I don't want to single you out, but I just want to understand why. How would you make it this far watching what I'm doing without playing along? So I'm assuming you're playing along by now, but if you're not, let me know how I can encourage others, you and others, to get started playing along earlier in the videos. That would be really helpful for me. And I'm grateful for you for that. So I think, we start. I can't really end just yet because we were talking about relative minor, but another really popular way to use that A chord is just to sort of plane it. You know, let's, not so good there, cool there. That's kind of cool. Chris Smither kind of cool, you know. But when we start, planing it, that A minor 7 up 2 frets, open 2, open 1, we've got four and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and There's a lot going on here. Maybe you know that song. 4, 1, 2, and 3. We have this really great half step that emerges when we do this chord. You know, it's an A chord, really sort of like a D at 11 with A in the bass, but A, 6, flat 7, and sus4. So it's a really great sort of 13 sound. You know, kind of like the spooky video we worked on earlier. But it's got that half step between that F sharp and the open G string. When we play them together, it's really dissonant. When we play them together in the middle of a chord with a note lower, a bass note lower, and a melodic note higher, that dissonance just evaporates. It just sort of goes away. So you got that to move around too. And it becomes A major again somewhere. And then back to A minor again somewhere. But just experiment with planing these things around, because you get these really beautiful songs that just emerge from all of this simple tweaking, right? So thank you so much for taking your time and spending a good chunk of time with us here on the channel. Jason Carey Guitar, or however you like to say it. We'd like to invite you to continue watching other videos about if you're having problems with this or challenges with that. We work to field your questions. We work to field your barriers to entry, we want to remove those things so that we can roll on through and continue to becoming guitar players and inspire others in our lives, our families, our friends, co-workers, enemies, it's important. But if you have questions or comments or suggestions, definitely all ears. We do pay attention. So don't hesitate to give us a little feedback if you don't mind. And I'm going to encourage you to continue along with 60 beats per minute and a beautiful practice time, morning or at night before you go to bed. First thing in the morning when you wake up, last thing that we do before we go to bed, wind down. And then keep trying to build that into there goes my pick, a whole system. Doesn't have to happen overnight. Doesn't have to start tonight, doesn't have to start tomorrow, might start a year from now. Maybe you're a year into it and you just think, oh yeah, that's right, I do need to practice every day. I do like it enough to do it. I want to do something with it. I want to become a professional musician. I want to become proficient enough to play around the campfire, to encourage my friends and families to sing with me and listen to the crackling. We all enjoy those things. We've all enjoyed those things from the beginning. And I want to encourage you to continue having fun with your guitar. And until next time, you guessed it,